And so our article was It's Our Responsibility, examining the integration of sexual harassment and assault education in sport management programs by Elizabeth Taylor and Amanda Paule-Koba. This article talks about incidents and stories of sexual violence in sport, and they're becoming increasingly prevalent in recent years. Research shows that systemic sexism is present and is largely uncontested in sports. The college setting allows for the integration of curriculum that can inform sport management students on sexual harassment and sexual violence. And the purpose of this research is to examine how sport management faculty are talking to their students about these topics.
So some of the literature review and theoretical frameworks, they talked a lot about the gender roles and how masculine and feminine gender roles are still viewed as normal today, and that female sport employees continue to face sexism and discrimination within the field, and even when they break into the field and into the male-dominated world of sports, they still have trouble forming networks and securing higher-up positions. So the research in education is suggesting that students aren't receiving a lot of training on the topic of sexual violence, and lack of exposure to these topics leaves them unprepared to navigate instances and experiences like this in internships and job settings.
There was 3 questions they asked in this research. The first was, in what classes, if any, do sport management faculty discuss sexual violence? The second question is, what techniques, if any, do student management faculty use to incorporate discussion of sexual violence into their classrooms? And the third question was, why do sport management faculty decide to include or not include sexual violence in their classroom topics and sexual violence in the classrooms?
So the methods that they use a qualitative methodology, and they interviewed 21 sport management faculty from 4-year institutions across the U.S. 11 of them were male and 10 female, and they all had a PhD, JD, or both. So before they interviewed the participants, they sent a list of demographic questions to answer before, and then these interviews were conducted by the phone and recorded. And then they used an inductive constant comparative analysis method to code the data.
Of the 21 faculty interviewed, 16 reported that they included the topic of sexual violence. 3 discussed how they would sometimes mention topics, but were not purposeful. And 2 said that they did not include the topics in their courses. Sport sociology and sport law were the 2 most common courses to include it. They use current events and writing assignments most of the time to introduce the topic. Most faculty felt that students weren't getting trained in their internships properly, and that's why they would discuss it in their classes. And then those that didn't include the topic felt that they were not confident in their ability to cover it.
So kind of discussing the results that they got, these results suggest that sports management faculty believed and perceived that they are successfully including these topics. And it's important for students to understand that these issues and these instances of sexual violence and sexual assault influence every aspect of sport, like finance and marketing. And the inclusion of these topics illustrates to students that there's severe punishments for individuals and organizations as a result of these sexual violence and sexual assault incidents.
By not providing faculty with adequate training, departments and universities cannot ensure that students are receiving the information that they need for handling sexual violence topics. And faculty did mention that they did not teach these topics in some classes because they felt it would be a better fit in other classes. And the reason that they don't include it could be that they aren't trained in handling the topic themselves.
There's there.
Let's give them 2 claps.